In a coastal town where waves whispered secrets to the cliffs, lived a girl named Mira. She had a mind full of poems and questions about the stars. But after a tragic accident took her parents when she was 9, she stopped speaking, not just from grief, but from a terrible guilt. The last thing she'd ever said to her mother was, "I wish you'd just leave me alone." That sentence became a chain around her throat. She believed her own words had somehow caused the storm that took her family. So for 5 long years, she remained silent. Her aunt, who took her in, tried everything. Doctors, therapists, meditation, nothing worked. At school, they called her Ghost Girl. Teachers simply marked her as unresponsive. The only person who didn't push was old Mrs. Patel, the librarian. Every Monday, she'd leave a new book on Mira's desk. Anne of Green Gables, The Little Prince, Matilda. "Read it," she'd say gently. "The words will keep you company until your own return." And Mira read them all. At night, she'd trace the sentences with her finger, mouthing words she couldn't say aloud. Then, at 14, a new boy named Kabir joined her class. He had a brace on his leg from polio and always ate his lunch alone. One rainy afternoon, Mira saw him struggling to pick up his dropped books. Without a second thought, she rushed over to help. Kabir looked up, surprised. "You never talk," he said softly, "but you see people. That's rare." Mira just nodded and walked away, her face warm. The next day, a note appeared on her desk. It was from Kabir. It said, "I think your silence has its own music." Reading those words, something inside Mira cracked open. A week later, the school announced a storytelling contest. The prize was a scholarship to a writing camp. Kabir entered, and Mira watched from the back as he told a story about a crippled sparrow who taught the wind how to sing. His voice was soft, but it was unwavering. That night, for the first time in years, Mira wrote something of her own. Not in a diary, but on a clean sheet of paper. It was a story about a girl whose voice had turned into sea glass, smooth and hidden, just waiting for the right tide to bring it back to shore. She never planned to share it, but Kabir saw it on her desk the next day. "This is beautiful," he whispered. "You should enter the contest." Mira quickly scribbled on a piece of paper. "I can't. I haven't spoken in 5 years." Kabir looked at her, his eyes kind. "So read it," he said, "not with your voice, with your paper. Let your words speak for you." On the day of the contest, Mira walked to the front of the room, her hands trembling. The audience fell quiet. She placed her story on the podium, took a deep breath, and began to read. At first, it was just a whisper, but then her voice grew stronger, clearer, as if it had been waiting under the waves all this time. When she finished, there was a moment of complete silence, followed by thunderous applause. She didn't win the contest, Kabir did, but the judge, a famous author, came up to her afterward. "Your words," she said, "carried more courage than any I've heard today." That evening, Mira spoke her first full sentence to her aunt. "I miss them, but I think they'd want me to speak again." Her aunt just wept and held her close. Years later, Mira became a published poet. Her first collection was titled Sea Glass Heart. In the preface, she wrote, "Silence can be a sanctuary, but it shouldn't be a prison. Your voice matters, even if it shakes, especially then. Because healing doesn't begin when you're fearless. It begins when you dare to say one true thing out loud to the world." This story reminds us that self-confidence isn't about being the loudest person in the room. It's about believing your truth deserves to be heard, even if it starts as a whisper. You don't have to be perfect to speak, you just need to begin. Because sometimes, the most powerful voices are the ones that have returned from silence, carrying with them wisdom, tenderness, and a hard-won courage. Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, please like and subscribe for more.